You might meet someone at a networking event. I'm not their cup of tea, fair enough, but I might be able to signpost them to someone.
I find a conversation start with someone where I can say, hey, here's something to give away for free. It's better than just being like, hey, buy my stuff.
We have a free agency platform, and that is purely about transparency.
If they've done retained once, then they just go for it from that point onwards.
Cliff jumping in.
That's it. And then once they've done it, and then they go, actually.
Before we kick off today's episode, I've got a few recommendations for you. First recommendation I've got for you is to take your commission more seriously, and the only way to really do that effectively is to deal with Carl at Conquest. Carl and the team really have their finger on the pulse with everything to do with commissions for your business, how much your guys are going to earn, how much they're currently tracking to earn, what your competitors are paying, what competitive landscape is out there, what your commission structure should look like. If you want to take commission seriously, and doing so will attract the right talent to your business and increase performance, get in touch with Carl at Conquest. Another recommendation I've got for you is Ben Fielding at Quinset. Now, we know in 2025 and onwards, email deliverability is more important than it's ever been before. With so much spam and junk mail and the amount of outreach messages that just don't land where they're meant to, sometimes your agency messages can get lost in the shuffle. You don't want to be in the junk mail. You don't want to be outside of the focused inbox. You don't want to be sending interview invites and having to ask your prospects and your candidates to check their junk. So if you want to sort that problem out and you want to continue to grow and scale your recruitment business, get in touch with Ben Fielding at Quinset. My next recommendation to you is Ross Thompson and the team at Infinity Staff Global. Infinity Staff Global are an employer of record who specialise in finding you staff based out in South Africa, but that work for you. Outsourcing and offshoring is the secret to growing and scaling a recruitment business in 2025 and onwards. And I highly recommend that you consider South African staff for your recruitment business, be it in a sales capacity, i.e. 180 or 360 degree recruiters, be it marketing, be it administrative functions, back office support, anything that you might need for your recruitment agency, get in touch with Ross and the team on the details in the description. The final recommendation I've got for you is Matt Fox at Exodus Advisory. Exodus Advisory was born out of Matt's journey selling his recruitment business. Along the way, the journey was incredibly difficult. There was a lot of forwards and backwards. There was things that he wished he knew back then that would have changed some of the things that he did with his business. So Matt set up Exodus to help recruitment businesses be exit ready. This is not an overnight thing, and the last thing you want to be doing is having to exit your business, not because you want to, but because you have to. So if you're looking to plan an exit in 3 to 5 years' time, Matt Fox is the guy you need to be speaking to. Welcome back to another episode of RecTalk, filming live from the team regional meeting in South Midlands, which has actually been filmed in Milton Keynes. Somebody at Team Network needs to do their geography. But we have been kindly invited to talk about navigating change, lessons and leverage for 2026. I've got an absolutely phenomenal panel with me, but before we kick things off, shout out to Andy Dunn for organising this, because some of the regional events can sometimes be a bit death by PowerPointy. Service providers have a tendency to turn up to these things and just plug their shit. And this is not what today's about. We've got a live audience. We will be going to a Q&A at the end as well. But let's kick things off. Guys and dolls, would you like to introduce yourselves? Let's go this way.
Yeah, I'm Beth from Liquid Friday. So we cover workforce management and things like that. I've been there for 10 years. I'm very excited to be on the podcast at last, Nitin.
More to come.
Fingers crossed. Yeah, so we've got lots going on with kind of obviously all the changes. So it's a great subject.
Great stuff.
Stewart Roberts from Mayachi, provide non-exec finance director services to recruitment agencies, because recruits are fantastic at sales but often crap at numbers, and so I help demystify those and help agencies to use their numbers to grow their business.
Nice. Luke from Giig. The short story on me is I'm an ex-recruiter who 9 years ago decided I was going to build a tech platform in recruitment. It's been a long 9 years, but 2 years ago we pivoted and we now build a recruitment ATS CRM, so kind of similar to your Firefishes, your Bullhorns, job adders, that type of product. Our little USP is that we give something away for completely free, so we have a free forever version of our system that people can use. We've got about 800 or so recruiters worldwide that use that for completely free. Yeah, it's been a long, oh thanks. And 305 businesses.
Disappointed that no one else clapped.
You need a bit of like silent applause.
Just a more.
And 305 that now pay for it. So yeah.
Fantastic work.
So I'm Michelle Theuma. I run Concept Onyx Recruitment in Milton Keynes. I have a business partner in Newcastle and we recruit the whole length of the UK. We do professional services recruitment, HR, accountancy, finance, C-suite. We also do digital tech, creative and marketing. Been a member of team for about, I think it's coming up about 20 years. And I was, I've been regional director of the Midlands for nearly 5 years now, 4 years maybe. And before that, I was regional director for London. So very embedded in team. And really glad to see so many members today and guests as well. Welcome. Hope you enjoy it.
And I'm Nitin Sharma, your host of RecTalk and founder of RecTools.io. RecTools is the only whole-of-market platform of the entire directory of recruitment suppliers into your recruitment businesses, your talent acquisition teams, or direct hiring businesses. We don't charge, we don't even grab your data, just go on, have a look. If you're looking for a new supplier, whether you're looking for a new CRM, whether you're looking for a new umbrella company, whether you're looking for a consultancy to come in and help you with your finances or whatever, it's RecTools.io or a videographer. Massive shout out to my boy Sanjay, absolute legend in the podcasting space. Guys, let's kick things off. The whole point in today's conversation is really around looking back, reflecting on 2025, and then trying to figure out a game plan for 2026. Because I noticed that in the end of 24 and when we went into 25, there was this like air of optimism. Oh, this is going to be the year. We're going to smash it. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. And I remember feeling a bit of a knob because I was like, I don't get it. I don't get what everyone's so excited about because it's just an arbitrary date. The 1st of January is no different to the 31st of December the year before. Nothing's changed politically, economically. The landscape is still exactly the fucking same. What are we so excited about? And then people were like, oh, there's green shoots, there's green shoots. Yeah, of course there is. Because you know, you walk around with a smile on your face and you go, today's going to be a good day. Guess what? You have a fucking good day. And when you then walk around going, oh, my week's been shit, you have a shit week. We become the masters of our own fate. But we still need to be thinking strategy-wise and sort of game plan-wise for 2026. So, guys, from the different positions that you guys have looking into the market, what defined your years personally, but then also the winners that you're dealing with at the moment? What are they doing or have done this year that you think others aren't? Who wants to kick us off?
I can say that the recruitment clients that I look after, they are seeing growth at the moment. So it just seems to be that that last quarter was much better than the first 2 quarters. Some of the agencies I'm dealing with...
They haven't sat around waiting for the market to turn, right? They've been doing something. They've seen...
A lot of them are using, it's the outsource side. So it's getting that overseas, kind of the South Africa, the Philippines to do their resourcing.
The cheap model.
That's it, yeah. But it's a case of that they're then concentrating on just making those placements and doing the BD side. And it's very easy, I think, for recruitment agencies to get bogged down in, right, okay, well, I don't like doing BD, so I'll get loads and loads of candidates. But actually, if you have to do the BD because someone else is doing it, you'll actually make those placements. And it's been very successful for the agencies I've been dealing with because the quality of the people over in places like South Africa, especially, I've heard from my agencies, has been that you get sort of the equivalent of like a person who's got 3 years experience and they're a resourcer, but they're really good quality compared to you getting a grad in the UK that you have to train up and move in that direction. So I think that's a model I've seen for especially my larger ones who have seen a lot more growth, that is where they're really kind of starting to really motor at the moment because they're not having to deal with the candidate attraction side. They can just concentrate on the BD, visiting those clients and do.
And actually, vice versa, right?
Yeah.
If actually you are a recruitment business owner or a solo that is naturally candidate driven in a candidate driven market, but you don't really enjoy the business development side,
you can outsource
actually there's some great people out in South Africa and do the BD for you.
That's it, exactly. And it's also they're not their employees. They're actually just paying as a service in some respects. So for them, they don't have to worry about the increasing NI, the kind of the office cost or anything like that of those employees because they're not in their office. You're buying it as a service. If it doesn't work with that person, you can just quickly go on to someone else. And that's been a big game changer for them as well. So
first, Beth, what are your winners doing, and how has your year been defined this year?
I think what you said about the 1st of January like really resonates. Like I think it's It is very true. If you assume something's going to be a certain way, I think it does usually go that way. And I think the biggest difference that we've seen, and at the beginning of the year and kind of throughout those first 2 quarters, we do often hear, and we say the same, like, oh, it's about to kick off, it's about to do that, it's about to do this. And I think there's a big difference in clients where they take that stance on things of around something's about to happen, which does usually result in that happening a lot later. And those that have kind of used that time to make something happen or change certain things. And we've spent a lot of time where we are waiting for certain things to happen or certain periods to come through, kind of re-collaborating and working out what we can do to make things work better in that time. And
that's a
use
good
that
point.
time.
Yeah. So rather than sitting and waiting for the market to turn, or rather than sitting like, if things are going to happen, it's going to happen.
Yeah.
Actually, shall I not be using my time more effectively during that point to look at
you
my
need some
supply
more.
chain, my finances, the tech stack that I'm using at the moment, to make sure that that's all aligned and worth doing.
Yeah, we're very much we're in a really busy period now because of the upcoming.
You're going to have to talk louder.
Sorry, I'm a very quiet person. We're in a period where obviously there's so much happening right now with JSL and all of those sort of things, and it's great. Like, those conversations keep on coming. It's brilliant to see that change. But actually, a lot of those things, like there's the other times in the year where we could be working on a lot of that and be growing it.
First.
Whichever one. I facilitate the conversation.
So yeah, fine. I think for me, my answer is the one that people won't want to hear, but like the people that I see that are doing really well are the ones that do the stuff that other people don't want to do. So well, I'll give some examples, but like I speak to obviously recruiters all the time within like the 1 to 10 person agencies, those small businesses, and everybody that comes over wants an AI tool that will automate everything and do it all for them. And the recruiters that I speak to that are doing well, and I go, how do you do it? Not one of them has replied saying it's an AI tool that solves all my problems and does everything. And I should be selling you tech, right? Because that's what I do. So I should be really selling you tech.
You're honest.
But yeah, I'm honest. And like,
you talk about you sell proper tech, not
that's the level.
I'm glazing.
Thank you.
But-
I see.
no,
You've got the
No, but the point is that AI is not the answer, and everybody, a lot of the RecTalk vendors out there right now are selling AI as the ultimate solution. But actually, when you look at it, I'm yet to meet a business owner that said, AI has made my business more productive.
Yeah.
It's a fallacy, and that even extends outside of the recruitment space. Nobody out there right now is sitting there going, we've adopted an AI first model in our business, and we are umpteen times more productive and profitable. It's just not. It's not doing what people thought it was going to, right?
For sure.
So you're finding people go, we want this magic tool, but what are the winners doing then?
So I've one guy. I won't use his real name, but I'll call him James Smith. No, I won't, just in case. You've got 1,000 subscribers, just in case he does.
100,000.
I'm sorry. I call him James Smith, but he, in his first 3 months, his first quarter, he did 7 deals with 5 new clients, which straight out the gates is pretty impressive. And he does fancy himself a bit, so whenever I speak to him, he's always like, Luke, there's only one James Smith, mate. Like, you've got to remember that. He's one of those. But I was like, how do you do it? And he's like, every day, 9 till 12, non-negotiable, I'm on the phones. And I'll do the dirty stuff that people don't want to do. I'll be ringing the switchboards. I'll be asking for recommendations and referrals. He says, if you are chasing jobs online, you're too early and you're too late. He's like, everyone will chase a job lead. Everyone will go like, generic, I see you've got a job. Can I work it for you? He was like, I just don't do that. I'll be trying to find out information from people that makes me sound smart, so I can go to managers and say, hey, I've heard this or learned this about your business. I see there's a problem coming. Can I help you solve it? 2 lads that are part of a team get a lot of success from door knocking. They print leaflets and they go out door knocking, and they're like, it's hard because you get the face-to-face rejection.
What sector are they? Because I think that's incredibly important to carry out.
Great. Construction.
Yeah, fine. Because you're not going to knock up to a law firm with leaflets.
No, true. But they
Please don't knock up to a law firm.
But I think you could be sending, like, honestly, I reckon like snail mail next year could be like sending stuff to law firms like that, because that will cut through the noise. Like, there'll be so much AI automated stuff going out that actually a letter in the post to a law firm, I would say like could be worth time.
You're onto something. I think with like that's the kind of stand out from the crowd. Everyone's doing this. I'm going to go and do this.
Correct.
Right? The problem you end up with in that scenario is you end up with recruiters that will then go and watch a Grant Cardone video and be like, so I sent them a page you go phone, and then I rang it.
Right,
and then
okay.
he answered it, and I was like, "No, I've got you on the phone." Do you know what I mean? Like, there'll always be some idiot
God,
going
what's
and
their
pushing it too far. Again, please do not send a page go phone. It's opportunity.
But then, like the other thing that I just wanted to say as well was that I think methods that show your personality are the other ones that I see that win with people. So like voice notes and video, they're the things that win, because like if you send an email that's just blanket and someone can read that, they can't pick your personality up from that. But if you get a voice note that someone has spent the time to go, hey Nitin, just connected with you, I see you do X, Y, Z, blah, 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 that hits, and it's a way for them to show personality as well.
The authenticity piece, right?
Yeah.
Being the authentic version of yourself.
So that's what I would say.
Go on then, Michelle. What's helped you win this year?
Networking time and time again, face to face, real people, conversations, being a voice in the room, not necessarily having to present, but giving opinions, supporting people. I think if you make connections with people, they will remember you. So, going back 5 years or so during the pandemic, when we didn't have a lot of roles on within my business, it was a case of reaching out to everybody that I'd ever had any interaction with to check they're okay, support them. Had a conversation yesterday with a team member, and he said, I remember you were the first person to call me as a solo to check in on me and check I was all right. And at the time...
Can we peg that, Nick? Because I think that's really interesting, because there'll be people listening to this, watching this, and sat in the audience here that will kind of be like, but is that not a bit transparent? I wouldn't do that, because I would feel like the recipient of that phone call is going to be like, well, you're just fucking keeping me... Do you know what I mean? Like,
but that's the difference. It's what's your motivation, isn't it?
Right, I was going
so
to say,
that wasn't my
the
motivation.
little thing on your shoulder does start being like...
So my motivation wasn't, I'm going to make a sale, or they're going to use me in the future. My motivation was, how's everyone doing? So
like a genuine,
if you're genuine,
position of empathy.
Absolutely. I mean, that's me. That's my character. So anybody who knows me will know that was a genuine call, genuine touch base. And I'm talking about a team member, not someone who's going to be a potential client for me necessarily. It might be someone I split business with. It might not be. But I think my point is if you communicate with people and you find what their pain points are, you can support each other through. And there's lots of people in this room where, looking at Sheila and Sarah, we haven't necessarily had a successful placement together, but we keep in touch, we check in, we look out for each other, we recommend each other. And I think with networking, for me, being based in Milton Keynes, this is a city of continuous networking. You can be out or having lunches every single day if you want. It's not great for a diet. But what's really good is those connections. And if you walk into a room and you don't go in with a viewpoint of, what am I going to walk away from here? What can you give me? But you walk in with the perspective of, how can I help? What do you need? Is it an introduction to someone? Is it a signpost? Is it just 5 minutes to talk about how crap you're feeling? Is it that you just want to chat about, your kids are struggling at the moment? There's so much anxiety in the marketplace that I think if you're a more human recruiter, going back to a lot of the things we're talking about are old school techniques, right? Conversation is the first thing that we started with on the phone, like you say, to the guys doing all the BD. Fair play to him, because actually it's harder to get through to people now. So if you can't get in front of them and meet them, I think you're almost shooting yourself in the foot from the first moment. Whereas if you can get there and you can talk to people, you might meet someone at a networking event and they need to recruit, but I'm not their cup of tea. Fair enough, but I might be able to signpost them to someone and help another independent recruiter, which is what Team's about, which is what I'm about. So I think if you're going to be fake about it, you'll get found out really quickly.
Then that's not being your authentic self, right? Because
exactly.
Again, if there are people who are naturally just bit of a dickhead, and I don't particularly care for anyone, that kind of thing, be that version of yourself, because you will find people.
You'll find other dickheads.
That are like that. No, but it sounds like,
it's true.
I say on the podcast and have said for years that it's not people buy from people, because it would all be selling to each other and we'd all have massive houses and £1 million in bank. It's people buy from people they like, and people buy from people like them. That's it. Unless relatability or likability, ideally both, exist in the relationship, they're not going to buy from you. But if they are buying from you, despite there being no relatability or likability, that person will not pay on time, that person will drop you the minute they get opportunity to, and that person will bitch and moan about every little thing that you do along the way. Because again, we've all had that situation where we reluctantly purchase something from somebody we don't particularly like or get on with, and then the minute they cock up, we're like, aha, I'm getting it. Well, you're getting this now, right?
I was going to say the cost to you as a business as well, in dealing with somebody that you don't trust, don't have a connection with, who you know is going to mess you around. I'm not a credit controller, but this year I've spent quite a lot of time becoming a really good credit controller. Because of businesses that I should never have entered into conversations with, or that something felt off. And I think, well, it's made more last year actually. This year I've made more of a conscious effort to go, actually, do I think this individual, for starters, is it a business that I can 100% say to a candidate, you need to go and work there? They're a great business, they're going to help you in your career, and they are what they say they are. If they're not, at some point that's going to come back and bite you, whether that's a fee falling out, them arguing about a rebate, them arguing about the terms that you all signed at the beginning, digging their heels and saying, well, I'll never deal with you again if you don't pay me back for the candidate that I mistreated, who's left my business, but it's your fault. Because you're the recruiter.
Because you provided a transaction and therefore I'm not happy with that transaction.
And
rather than, I wasn't happy with the outcome, but the process was good. And I relate and respect you for what you delivered process-wise.
Exactly.
There's a big difference, right?
And if people don't understand what a recruitment business is offering, what we do, if they think we're there to underwrite their placement and sit next to the candidate and hold their hand in their first month, that's not what happens. And so it's understanding the process. But I think you've got to go with your gut. As the owner of a small business, I know if someone messes me around with meetings, the things they say, listening to what the buying signals are and the signals that should put you off, always listen to them, because it will turn out to be an uncomfortable process towards the end when you're arguing with them about the fee after you've done all the work. I just don't entertain it.
I can talk from experience on the fact that we went from, when I ran my recruitment agency, from embedded relationships with clients who we would take out for lunches and dinners and just spend a lot of time enjoying their company, to being so focused on getting the revenue in because, the walls are at the door and we need to fucking sort it out. Where we went from not even just going after low-hanging fruit, we were picking rotten fruit and veg up off the floor and calling it a fee, right? We know this client's not going to pay. We've done a credit search on them. We know these guys are in trouble, but fuck it. That's the invoice finance company's problem because we need the fee. Or we know that clients don't treat these candidates very well. We know they run a revolving door service, but I need the fee. And absolutely, I would never want to go back to that position, ever. Because that's not a good place to be. Like you say, you become an incredibly good credit controller. Sometimes it's hard though, right? So I want to throw it to you, Beth, for a second, because you guys operate in an environment where the price of your offering is often the leading question. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I have a viewpoint on this that it comes down to two C's, cash or creative. And if your negotiation is around creative, hey, we can come up with an agreement, right? I don't really need that. I need more of this. Can you do less of this, more of this? That's great. We can have fun. We can have a good working relationship together. But if it's cash, you want to charge me £2,000 and I only want to pay £1,000, and we agree somewhere in the middle at 1,500 quid, but I'm still paying more than what I wanted to, and you're making less than what you wanted to. So this is doomed for failure. So how do you guys navigate that world? Because you've got so many of your competitors be like, well, we'll do it for much cheaper than them.
Yeah. I think it's very much, I think follows on from what you said, Michelle, which is we've had to become very intentional with where we spend that time. I know for me personally, a lot of time has been spent in places where there isn't, you're not going to allow, that business isn't going to see the value in what we do or the requirement for us there, or maybe that requirement of what our USP is, which we've kind of built out something where we want this to feel a certain way for that contractor. We want the employment to feel a certain way. We want this, we sit in a particular place where that's where we want to be. We don't just do payroll. And I think it's very much what you said. You've got to look at all of those areas and see whether you are selling them a product that they need. And I think in some sectors, in some cases, that won't always be the case, and that's okay. And I also think that historically, there have been periods where that is the case in certain sectors where actually we're a lot closer to actually those conversations we're having again, and there are things that they see that are of value that we can offer. And I think it's about being kind of honest about what you are selling and what they are going to get, and if that is something they want, and being okay with walking away with that, not just devaluing it, because what we offer does cost something, and therefore that's that's
Yeah,
what it's
yeah,
going
yeah.
to cost. And some
Being able to sort
contractors
of
will-
qualify out the people you don't want to be doing business with, so that
Yeah.
you qualify in more
Yeah.
relevant, longer term relationships, right? Because the average value of that customer has to be worth something in the long term. You've got to look at it and go, well,
Yeah.
these people that are happy with us stay with us for 5, 6, 7 years.
And this is the thing.
Versus, yeah, I can impress the investors and go and we signed up 100 new people this week. That's great, but how many of them are going to cancel within 6 months? Within like the following 6 months, and how many are they going to stick about and not cause issues?
Yeah, and we're in a very interesting position, but very similar, where we obviously have two clients. You know, we have our agencies, and they need to understand what we do and why they want to partner with us, and we have a value proposition on that side. And sometimes that conversation is why, when it comes down to the margin, we do sometimes I say, no, we know your contractors will be happy to pay that when they see what they get on the other side of that, and it's true, but it's sometimes getting that point across when you have got kind of two customers a lot of the time.
I think for agencies as well, I think who come to use umbrellas, and obviously, it's there's lots and lots of umbrellas out there. But I think in some ways, the ones that are doing it really dirt cheap, you have to often ask, what is the reasoning and how are they doing that? Because there is a cost of running the service, there is a cost of the people behind it and everything like that. And the number of umbrella companies at the moment that are going through where HMRC are knocking on their door and getting them checked and finding out they're doing something dodgy with their NI or salary sacrifices, all these kind of things. And it's because they're doing all these, they're making their margins on the solutions that actually aren't conforming to the way that you should be working.
They're making money on the things that they're not paying.
That's it.
Right?
So it's for the umbrellas, it's a case of actually proving and saying we are, either registered with FCSA or professional, or SafeRec or somewhere like that. And we can prove that we're actually doing something that's accredited and providing good service, rather than the ones who turn around and say, well, we can give you these big massive rebates, and then you go, well, hang a minute, you're giving me £3 a week per person, and you're only charging the candidate £5. You're making £2. How does that work? So, and then they're then trying to get volumes, but they're making their money on something else, which actually they shouldn't be. They're scraping off the bottom and causing issues to those candidates and to the agencies, especially with the new laws that are coming in, where it's going to start hitting the agencies.
Kind of like how Luke gives away a free CRM and he should be charged. How do you do? You get that a lot though, don't you?
What's that?
How are you navigating that conversation when you're getting people go, well, hang on a minute, Bullhorn charged me this much.
Yeah.
The cheapest CRM out there charges this much, and you're giving it away for free. That makes sense to me. You must get a lot of that. And how are you navigating that conversation?
I navigate that conversation by saying, in all honesty, like, I like living in a world where we give value up front for free. Like, I just like that. It's just the way that I like to operate. If I can, I find a conversation start with someone where I can say, hey, here's something to give away for free. It's better than just being like, hey, buy my stuff. That's just me personally. The second thing is, and again, being honest, it's a marketing tool. So we are a bootstrap business where we don't have VC funding, and we needed to find a way to get out there and compete with the big names. So how do you get people to talk about you? If you give away genuine value that people can use for free, they tell other people about it. So it's a marketing tool for us. And I'm honest in saying that like now that we've got 800 people using it, and had a coffee with Adam this morning, I was saying the usage of it's just going up and up and up, and it's fantastic to watch. So that's how I usually navigate it. But I think even though people do get suspicious, there's so many tools out there, like you have to like Strava or Spotify or HubSpot, that they do it for free. So I don't think it's like an uncommon.
You've been doing this a while though, right? And you
Yeah.
do your free consultancy, and I know that you guys spend a lot of time with your clients when they ask you to come and deliver, legislation updates and that kind of thing. Are people less trusting now than they used to be? I mean, when I say people, I mean recruitment businesses, and then by almost by de facto then end clients, so our candidates and our prospect clients. Are they less trusting that you guys are seeing?
Yeah, I think so, definitely. I think every person who I meet and tell them about what we do, and I always say, there's the 2-hour free session that you get, and then I don't hear from them. I'm like, but you have nothing to lose. You lose 2 hours, but you might gain so much more information, because it's all about education. We don't do the 2 hours of the sell. It's a 2 hours education of actually looking and educating you as recruiters on exactly how to understand your finances and your business. And people come off the 2 hours and they go, so if I do this, and this, I'm going to save myself about $5,000, and it's cost me nothing except for 2 hours of my time. And then they go, oh, I should have done this earlier. And they were like, well, I hesitated at first because they thought there was a hidden agenda and I was going to just.
I was going to say, why do we think that is then? Well, if you root cause analyse that, where is this lack of trust coming from? Because our clients, Michelle, are you finding that clients are a little bit dubious when you're coming in with your kind of, listen, how can I help you? You know?
Yeah, because I think for the whole panel, we're all coming in after people have done a bad job.
Right.
So it's how we separate ourselves. Our point of difference is by doing a good job, but you have to get through that wall of mistrust or that cynicism to say, actually, this is what, everyone's offering the same service, but I do it well, I do it better. And so things like providing testimonials, you're talking about your 800 customer base, they're all going to give you testimonials in order for you to win the next client to say, well, this is what someone else said. You can talk to them if you'd like. So if you'd like to pick up the phone and have a conversation with that individual, please feel free. But going back to what Bethany said about pricing yourself out of something that you feel isn't a way forward, I think that's a really important tool. If I think that if someone says, well, we can't afford you, I don't immediately drop my fees. I will say, no problem, well, this is what the offering is. I only work retained. This is how the fee structure works. And if you don't want to work like that, completely understand, not a problem. And good luck. So many occasions those individuals come back because they go and try and get cheaper. They think, oh, there's a catch in that. You're going to take the engagement part of this fee and then we're never going to hear from you again. And it's about how you sell it. It's about positioning it to say, well, if I'm working on a retainer, we've both got skin in the game and we are both invested in getting this placement to be a sound placement, to get it across the line in the right way. So it's a right move for the candidate, a good hire for you and a good placement for me. If that individual doesn't want to pay at a certain level or they're more suspicious, they're probably not the right partner for you to work with. So I think walking away from
pull
things
that apart
is
a minute
important.
though, because from a show of hands, those of you who are recruiters out there, how many of you work retained? Whether that's every vacancy or the majority of vacancies, how many of you work retained?
Wow.
How many of you have pitched a retainer this year, regardless of the success of it? Should we have a conversation about retainers? Hey, yeah, before we do,
Can I just start? Michelle mentioned something twice that I just wanted to try and hit home. I think if I was a small business or recruiter moving into 2026, you said testimonials and referrals are two things you said, and I think that's massive. I think if I think about how I buy now, I don't pick up the phone. I very rarely reply to emails. Social content is how you get me. But if you rang me and said, Luke, you need to speak to this person because they can solve X, Y, Z problem, I would definitely listen to that. And someone was talking to me the other day, and I can't remember the agency now, but they were saying, oh, I'm being coached or mentored by this guy and he's killing it. I looked their recruitment business up, went on Google, first thing I saw, 370 reviews, 5-star on Google, and I thought that's like, feels rare for a recruitment agency to have that. And for us, we've got a Trustpilot page that's got 280 reviews, and that's so powerful now. Because people come over and they're like, does your product work? Why is it free? You go, well, there you are, there's 208 people that have reviewed it. I'm not going to tell you, go and look at that. So if I was a small business owner or a recruiter, I would seriously be thinking about how can I be collecting reviews.
Let's take a short break for a moment from this incredibly interesting podcast to hear about the 4 recommendations I've got for you again for your growing, scaling and ambitious recruitment business. First recommendation I've got for you is to take your commission more seriously. And the only way to really do that effectively is to deal with Carl at Conquest. Carl and the team really have their finger on the pulse with everything to do with commissions for your business. How much your guys are going to earn, how much they're currently tracking to earn, what your competitors are paying, what competitive landscape is out there, what your commission structure should look like. If you want to take commission seriously, and doing so will attract the right talent to your business and increase performance, get in touch with Carl at Conquest. Another recommendation I've got for you is Ben Fielding at Quinset. Now we know in 2025 and onwards, email deliverability is more important than it's ever been before. With so much spam and junk mail and the amount of outreach messages that just don't land where they're meant to, sometimes your agency messages can get lost in the shuffle. You don't want to be in the junk mail. You don't want to be outside of the focused inbox. You don't want to be sending interview invites and having to ask your prospects and your candidates to check their junk. So if you want to sort that problem out and you want to continue to grow and scale your recruitment business, get in touch with Ben Fielding at Quinset. My next recommendation to you is Ross Thompson and the team at Infinity Staff Global. Infinity Staff Global are an employer of record who specialise in finding you staff based out in South Africa, but that work for you. Outsourcing and offshoring is the secret to growing and scaling a recruitment business in 2025 and onwards. And I highly recommend that you consider South African staff for your recruitment business, be it in a sales capacity, i.e. 180 or 360 degree recruiters, be it marketing, be it administrative functions, back office support, anything that you might need for your recruitment agency. Get in touch with Ross and the team on the details in the description. The final recommendation I've got for you is Matt Fox at Exodus Advisory. Exodus Advisory was born out of Matt's journey selling his recruitment business. Along the way, the journey was incredibly difficult. There was a lot of forwards and backwards. There was things that he wished he knew back then that would have changed some of the things that he did with his business. So Matt set up Exodus to help recruitment businesses be exit ready. This is not an overnight thing, and the last thing you want to be doing is having to exit your business, not because you want to, but because you have to. So if you're looking to plan an exit in 3 to 5 years' time, Matt Fox is the guy you need to be speaking to.
We live in a data age, right? Which is where the trust thing comes from. Everyone wants data, and I bet that most people in the room, I'm one of them, when you go on Amazon, first thing you look at, what's rated the most, what's got the most reviews. Like, that is how we buy now.
Yeah.
But in recruitment, we don't seem to chase that.
There's a lot we don't do outside that works outside of the recruitment space that we just don't do. Stick on the reviews thing for a second. Liquid Friday, what are your guys' reviews on Google? Do you know?
Oh, I don't. We do. We
Why
do
not?
A lot. Oh, I should do. Oh, brilliant.
154 reviews at 4.1 stars. That to me would be like, I need to speak to these guys.
And that will all be contractor. So we ask contractors for reviews constantly, and that will all be about the contractor side of it. And then for our agency partners or end clients, that's all testimonials. But one thing, like mentioning the trust thing, so we do very, very similar to Luke on, we have a free agency platform, which anyone that is using us has access to as a consultant or as a compliance team, and that is purely about transparency. And I think that is like this, similar what you said around the reviews. I think it's that transparency to be able to show people, that shows everything from our back office, how we do our calculations, absolutely everything. And I think that's what we've really tried to build out on is, okay, like obviously there is a lot of mistrust, particularly in the umbrella sector. And I think that is what you will see more of up and down the supply chain, which is we actually need data and evidence to show what is happening back there. What do you do and how does it work? Because I think there's so much misconception. And I think that's why we kind of like with I think some trusts like, why are you giving that away free, that sort of thing, but actually it's for that exact reason. It's just complete transparency.
Transparency, yeah.
Shows everything.
Stu, you work with some amazing recruiters and recruitment business owners, and I know a few of them work retained, and they didn't always work retained.
No.
At what point in a business owner's maturity level have you seen the trend where they go, I'm fucking done with this, I'm doing retained now?
If they've done retained once, then they just go for it from that point onwards. It's just putting their dipping their toe in the water and trying it once.
Cliff jumping in.
That's it. And then once they've done it, and then they go, actually, and I've got people at the moment who are doing things like the subscription models as well. So, you know, and this is often where you have a large number of placements and they're going out and the client's going, right, okay, we worked out over the year it's going to be sort of a 75 grand a year we're going to be paying you. How about instead you pay us X amount of money every single month and we will just be kind of your exclusive kind of recruiter. Yeah. And that agency then gets a regular amount of money every single month, guaranteed. It's in a contract, 12 months. So it might be 60 grand a year. So they've been paid 5 grand a month. And the client turns around and goes, well, that's cost me 60 grand instead of 75. Because they've worked out their fee. The agency's got a regular amount of money. And from my perspective, where I'm dealing with agencies who are looking to sell, if they can do 3 of those in a year, then when they come around for sale, that's a saleable item. Their agency value doubles because they've got something that when another person comes and buys that business, they've got this model where actually the person who buys it is going to have some regular income coming in after that. And that's on a perm business. You know, that's where I see the next generation of actually doing something a little bit different. You've got the retain model to get money up front. actually show your kind of, as Michelle said, your connection to that business and actually working together, rather than it just only if you make that placement do you get that fee. You've done all that hard work, and there's 2 other agencies in the mix, and you then don't get it. That to me is you're not working smarter. You're working harder.
No, you're absolutely right. I was at one of these events not yesterday, the day before. Tuesday, yeah. Miles from North Star People made a really good point, because he was sort of like, you have a business that say that, all right, our fill rate is 1 in 4 vacancies and we work at 15% on average. Actually, when you look at it, your rate is not 15% on average, because you're working 4 vacancies to fill that one fee at 15%. And so actually, your average fee is like 6%. So if you went out and sold a retainer at 10%, you're already making more money than you currently are if you're working in the success rate of 1 in 4 vacancies that you work. By a show of hands, is there anyone here who thinks that the retained model or a subscription model wouldn't work in their sector or their industry for their business? And are you brave enough to answer why?
So I'm ex-defence sector.
Yeah.
I've not been on the desk for a few years now. But the reason I would have said before I did any retained work is that my clients wouldn't do that because they've got enough choices out there in the market.
Yeah.
It was only until I did my first couple of retained pieces of work on my own that I realised that it was better to do it like that. And I suppose it's selling to the pain of that client and actually presenting that solution properly. And I think a lot of recruiters, I see a lot of different recruitment businesses in this job, they don't have that offering to their clients. They just have that old school standard permanent contingency offering. They don't even have it on their website, that they can offer these additional services. I think what Miles was talking about as well on Tuesday is so important, like having a menu.
Yeah.
And what you and I have talked about, Nitin, and you've presented at other events, having other services that you can make chargeable.
Productising things that you do currently for free.
And people might take you up on them, but having that as an option just puts you ahead of all of your competition.
Showing you're an expert, showing that expertise from a consultative perspective as well. So
it also gives you a lower cost to entry. Like going in and saying I want a 15 grand fee is one thing, but if you go, oh, we do this little service over here for £400 or whatever it is, and the client goes, oh, okay, I'll spend £400 for you. I worked with Andy. I actually quite liked him. You then build up the trust, and you're not going in and saying, pay me 20 grand off the bat. I want a retainer with 6 grand up front, 6 grand in the middle, 6 grand on completion. You've got a little package where you offer some value.
It's a bit like,
at cheaper.
Restaurants have got like a bottle of Dom Perignon vintage for 400 quid on the menu or 500 quid on the menu. How often do you think they sell them?
Yeah.
But when you open that menu, you see it on there, you think, oh, actually, this place is...
Yeah. Oh, you're one of them places. That's right, yeah. Oh, you want to... Oh, okay, I get where I'm sat now, right? It's that mentality. That's a really interesting point you said there with the 33%, like third and a third and a third. I always thought that was the only way to sell a retainer, because that was all I was ever taught. Until I started doing this for a living and spoke to some really fucking good recruiters, and they were like, no, you asked for a £100 deposit. I was like, what? So all I want is a commitment from these people that they're not going to pull the rug under me when I do all this work for free. So my terms are, you pay £100 up front, and there's a cancellation fee in the terms. And that cancellation fee is the remaining third of that fee, right? Do you agree to these terms? All I want from you is £100 to kick this project off, right? And then if you cancel before I deliver the shortlist, or if you decide to direct hire, if you decide to do any number of these things, then there's a cancellation fee, because I've got to be paid. I've got to be paid for my time. But you're only paying £100 in as as an initial kind of outlay out of your business, Mr. FD, Mrs. FD, or you can tell your FD that this is all it's going to cost you for the time being. When I deliver you your shortlist and you're happy with it and you agree to interview, at that point I'm going to trigger another invoice to you.
I like that model.
Right? Because it feels more, I don't feel like an arsehole being like, well, pay me a third of my fee because I'm the best at what I do, when I haven't got any Google reviews and actually all I'm, do you know what I mean?
So I've been a solo recruiter for 11 years. The majority, probably 95% of our clients use me on a sole basis. So I kind of always felt that, well, why do I need to do a retainer? Because I'm a sole, I'm the only one recruiting for that role. They're going to work with me. But I have noticed this year, you know, maybe the odd placement has slipped through the net because they found somebody direct.
Yeah.
So that model really, really appeals to me, and I think also the subscription is a really interesting.
Especially when you can go back over the last 18 months and say you've spent this much money. It doesn't have to be a year subscription either. If you've worked with a client for 24 months or 3 years, whatever, you can go, listen, do you know over the last 3 years how much money you've spent with me? So do you want to sign a 3-year contract with me that gives you a reduction in what you pay, but actually allows me to be like, hey, I can forecast this. Right? Oh, 3 years sounds like a long time. We don't know whether we'll spend that again. All right, cool. Let's do a year then. This is the element of choice, the illusion, of choice. Oh, you don't want to do 3 years. You want to do 1 year. It's going to cost you that bit more. You know, you spent 100 grand with me. Do it for 3 years. I'll do it at 60 grand. But you don't want to do 3 years. You want to do 12 months. That's fine. I understand that. 80 grand. That's 80 grand guarantee that you can sit down with your accountant and go, hey, guess what? I know I've got 80k coming in this year, in the following. So now can we look at investing that in the right places? Can we look at our tech stack and decide, do we need to be moving our CRM? Do we want to, now I can breathe easy a bit and focus on my reviews and go, actually, now let me position my business a bit stronger so that when I do start focusing on social selling and marketing and getting myself and brand out there is, relevancy to who I am and what I do. When I do start networking, because actually I can give myself the afternoon off now and go to that local networking event that's happening because, hey, who knows who I might meet? Because I know I've got 80 grand coming in at the end during this year. I know I've got money coming in. Actually I can sit down with my umbrella partners and be like, all right, just educate me on this fucking change of legislation shit because I've been ignoring it because I ain't got the time to think about it. And that's like one client. You do that over a range of different clients. Then you can go, actually, let me look at the South African hiring model. I've always been a solo, but it might be nice to have somebody working behind the scenes for me. Might be nice to have somebody looking at other things for me. It's that kind of like we fall into the trap often of just sort of how it was done is the way it needs to be done. But the world's changing, and we know the world's changing. The way people buy cars has changed. The way people buy houses has changed. The way people make big purchases has changed. And recruiting into their business is a big purchase for these people. And I can tell you with what I do, and I spend a lot of time with talent acquisition, HR, and business owners. They don't like the recruitment model. It's not that they don't like recruiters. They don't like this model, this, slapdash. Oh, if you don't want to pay this much, we'll pay this much then, and this first CV over the line model. They don't like it. They don't want that pressure, that stress that they feel with, I like this person, but if this fucker sends me a CV and it's got the same name on it, I'm going to have to go to court because they're both going to want paying. And I don't want to deal with that shit. Whereas if you can block them off and go, listen, this is the crack, this is how it's going to be. Hey, it's £100 deposit, but it means I can chill and take my time with this, A subscription model means you'll save money and time and energy.
The other thing with the subscription model, get it on a standing order every month. You don't have to chase it then.
Yeah.
It's in a contract and you get them set up as a standing order and every month it's just going to go into your bank account.
It hits first of the month, that's it. Right?
Yeah. I spoke to one recruiter yesterday who's doing this and he does, it's the menu thing again. And he's got packages between £2,000 a month to £3,000 a month. And you get, I can't remember the hires, but you get different hires per year. And he was like, it's a 12-month contract and they can engage me at any point. They pay me the £2,000 or the £3,000 or whatever it is every single month. And I've got 4 clients. Yep. And he was like, the recruitment purists of the world that go 20%, 25% fees will look at me and think, you're an idiot. But he was like, I'm running a solo business on my own, got that guaranteed income coming in. And he's a member of the team. I'll tell you who he is. I've already told you, it's the same fella. But I thought that was really interesting.
You pick up too much work, isn't it? You're so good with that model.
But
he was saying they're not hiring at the same time.
Exactly, but also that's easily scalable. Because then I'm like, right, listen, I'm at capacity here. This is how tech businesses will grow. Tech consultancies will grow their business. They'll go, they work on capacity, not on revenue targets. One of our guys can deliver X number of hours of work, of tech solution for this business. But when we're at capacity, and the burst zone is usually about 80%, they then start a hiring model. Right, we need to now stop hiring somebody in because there's work coming in and we need to have somebody. So when a client says, oh yeah, do you know what, this sounds great. One of my mates is using you guys and she's a manufacturing business and actually I'm also a manufacturing business and I want that model. yeah, cool, we can kick things off in 3 months' time because I'm at capacity at the minute, but it gives me a chance to explore an internal hire, an external hire, an offshore, a partnership within team. Hey, who wants to do this? I can pay you a portion of this on a retainer for like as long as this contract agrees. If they sign up for a year, you've got a job for a year.
Well, if you're doing contingent as well, it's a case of it is that feast and famine.
Right.
And so if you have something where you've got regular income coming into your business, you can turn around and say, I can actually commit to having an extra member of staff or an outsourced solution because actually I can budget for it. If you're on a contingent model and suddenly all your clients disappear and you've got an extra staff member, you have to then go, right, what do I do? But on this kind of subscription model or having some regular income coming in for retainers and things like that, it's actually, you've got a bit more of a guarantee coming through in some respects, which then might make you go, right, now I can start growing this business in different ways rather than just staying as just me as a solo.
I was going to say the biggest obstacle to selling a retainer is you, the recruiter. If you don't believe in it, if you don't understand it, if you don't position it correctly, then you'll never sell a retainer. But if you say to a client, this is the way I work, full stop, end of sentence. It's about understanding why it's beneficial for you and for the client. And I converted historic clients who I'd worked on contingency with for years to retainers. I never say the words up front. I never say you're paying me up front, because it's not true. They're paying me an engagement fee to get me. They're paying for my experience, they're paying for my expertise, they're paying for my knowledge, my understanding, my networks, and they're paying a proportion of that fee to get me working on that project and to start. And it's important. If you don't know your value, you'll never sell a retainer.
Michelle, could I just ask, so they're all, sounds like clients you've had good relationships with in the past and you've then been able to kind of pivot and say...
They were the hardest, not the new ones.
They were the hardest, okay. So do you then go out to new clients as well?
Yeah.
And now have that...
So I've got 2 retainers at the moment for a law firm that I met at networking, never dealt with me before, met at networking, had a conversation with them, then went out for lunch with one of the partners, then came back, took a few months, just touching base here and there, and then they gave me 2 really quite decent retainer for 2 different roles in different departments, and they're paying an overall fee. I can't think what the percentage is off the top of my head.
It's almost like they decided whether they liked you or they were like you before they decided to engage with you, rather than, hey, you've got a great silver tongue on this cold call. You're not going to sell a call. You're not going to sell a retainer on a cold call.
No.
That's the issue. And I know what question you're asking, because that's exactly what I used to say. When I used to sit down with people that were doing retainer training, they'd be like, no one's going to fucking buy that. Like, it's not going to work. No, you're right, it's not going to work. Because that's not how you sell a retainer.
Yeah.
You sell a retainer by doing what Michelle was talking about there, by meeting people, spending time with those people, and convincing those people via the authentic version of yourself, this is who I am, this is what I do. And I genuinely believe that I'm a good recruiter. But so to engage with me, you're going to need to pay me for my time. And a law firm will get that, because guess what? They work on retainers too. So it's not an alien concept to them to be like, well, what is this? You're paying up front? This is nonsense.
Well, what they will say is we pay lower fees with other agencies on contingency. And I say, brilliant. So why are we having a conversation?
Yeah,
because what is it that they're not delivering? Because there's a reason that we're in the room. And I think there's that whole perception of what a recruiter does. So we talked about process, what we offer. We have a credentials deck, a cred deck, which is very much like from agency world, because the other side of the business does digital marketing, creative agency. And we have 2 decks. We have a deck that explains who we are and our credentials and what we're about and where we came from, how we do it. And we have another page, if you like, which is our process. It's such a long, involved process that the steps are like that. And they're colour-coded. When the client's involved, when we're involved, what we're doing in the background, when we work together. So we explain everything in the terms of transparency that you mentioned earlier. And it's all about building credibility. That's why I'm saying you have to believe in what you do and what you're offering to be able to sell it. If not, you shouldn't be trying to do it. You can't take on too many projects because you're not going to fill that role. My goal is not to get the retainer. My goal is to make the placement. But I want to do it so that I'm well and fairly paid for my time and for my expertise. My advertising in my head is then covered. I explain to the client, this is what happens at the beginning of the process. If you want me to do all of that for free, you're talking to the wrong person and you need to go and speak to another agency. And the other thing that, going back to what you just said, Nitin, which I think is really important, every client I meet, I say to them, when you're talking to me, you need to be looking at me from the perspective of, is she going to represent our firm, our business well in the marketplace? Yeah. If I was a candidate, would I want to even open the door to talk to her? Because whether you do door knocking, phone calling, networking, however you reach your audience, if you're not yourself and you're not a good representation for that firm, you're not the person for them. And I always say, if you don't think that I'm going to represent your firm in the market well, not a problem. Tell me what it is that you think I can't do and what you need, and I'll try and introduce you to someone else. I'm not worried to walk away from business. I'm not worried to say no. I'm not going to be, after 28 years doing recruitment, I'm thick-skinned enough to go, do you know what, I wasn't for them, it's fine. And wish them luck and help them and say, if I know anybody, I'll send them to the person that you're working with. You're not going to win every single time, but if you don't value what you do well and present it well, you'll never get that part of the marketplace that you should be in, especially as a solo. I switched to retained when I was a solo. I've run bigger businesses. We're now a small business. And when I came into with my business partner and we merged our companies, the first thing I said to the whole team was, why don't you work retained? Why aren't you putting yourself out to the client and valuing your time? Because if you don't believe it, you'll never sell it. Mm-hmm. You're not selling the dream, you're selling the reality of recruitment. It's a bloody tough market. It's a tough job to do. And why shouldn't we get paid for it, same as everyone else does? I don't want to work for free. Don't know about anyone else.
It makes sense. There's a lot of kind of psychological importance in that breakdown of this is the entire process that you're paying for. Because you demonstrate to somebody kind of like, this is where you are in the cycle. This is where, Howard talks about it, where it's sort of like, if the client then at the end of you demonstrating, here's all the shit that I'm going to do for you, and they go, yeah, but the other agency will do it for 15%. All right, cool. What do you want me to not do? Here's all the shit I'm doing for you. And let's even put like that's 1%, 2%, 3%. Let's like fraction like that down. Which parts of this process don't you want me to do? I'll do it for 15%, but I'm doing these 6 steps. Would that work for you? Not really, no. Right, well, okay, you're going to pay for it then, aren't you? Think about, do you remember the world before Just Eat and Deliveroo, where we used to call for a takeaway, and then it's been 10 minutes, it's been 20 minutes, it's been half an hour, it's been 45 minutes, these fucking pricks. Where's my pizza? Like, where the fuck is it, right? Whereas now you just go, oh, it's in the oven. Oh, the rider's on his way. Oh, the rider's took a wrong turn, fucking arsehole. Right? It's that, again, look outside of our industry, see what works, and then bring that into our sector. That's what Michelle talks about, that's what that is. You'll get a pissed off client when you pick up a vacancy, you get the brief, you do the job brief, and then 2 weeks later you haven't even called them and said, I've got CVs, I've done this, I've done that. But when they can look at your POS and go, well, they're probably at this point here, and this is a period of time that's going to take this long. Okay, yeah, cool. Keeping people engaged and communicated with. You'll have the time to do that when you're not working 4 vacancies in the hope that you fill 1, and you're actually only working the 1 vacancy that you know you're going to fill, but how long that takes is the bit that's questionable. Right?
I think that's why AI is not going to eliminate the recruitment industry.
Yeah.
Because it still needs people to actually do that side of the service. And it's, I see, I over the years, the number of times I've heard, well, I've got this app, and it's going to actually revolutionise the industry, and candidates will register on there, and clients put their job. Sorry, but they get one too shy. But people are actually using this, and they're making placements. So then the clients are thinking, well, I can put my job on there, I can pick the candidates, but who are they actually engaging with? Who is the person who's going to be coming on that job? And then they complain that the person never turned up. The person who turned up wasn't the person who actually they thought they were. Yeah. It's all done on faceless, and faceless doesn't work. Having even a recruiter in the mix actually puts a face to the job.
But that level of transactional service, fine. You don't want to be doing that anyway. Do you really want to be picking up a 100-person call centre job and speak like vacancies like that, and then go in, great, I have to convince these kids that 20k a year is a good salary, and 4 fag breaks a day is a good little perk. You don't want that work. Like we used to 10 years ago, scramble over that, go rushing back to the office to ring that sales bar. Just picked up 10 vacancies with TSIS, smashing it. I'm going to fill their call centre. Yeah, brilliant. Who the fuck wants to work those jobs? You want to work the defence sector jobs, those interesting jobs. I'm looking for this particular needle in this haystack. Can you help me find it? And I'll pay you well for it. Right? They're the work that you want to be doing. So let tech and AI disrupt that part of the world, because we don't want it anyway. We don't work for S3, we don't work for Hayes, Reed, Michael Page. We run solo recruitment businesses,
And those are consultancies that we're running. You know, we're not ambulance chasing lawyers. You know, we want to be the specialist law firm. That's what we want to be. I don't want to be the one running around after an ambulance. Like, all right, here's my car. Call me. Got a case there. But that's what we were trained to do at the big places. It's just kind of calibrating our mindset.
But with that tech thing that I was saying about, and it's seen it with the lots of the temp market and things like that. And those companies, because it's built by a tech company, doesn't probably either understand recruitment or doesn't understand even
respect.
Yeah, exactly. No. But what they were doing is, I've heard them, they've gone, yeah, okay, so once they've done the shift, we'll pay them straight away. And I'm like, but how are you paying these people? And it's like, well, self-employed. They just kind of think they can just give them the money, and the candidate's just then going to go, oh, well, I'll pay all my tax on that. Or they think the money they're receiving has had all those deductions, and it hasn't. And then, you know, you look at the likes of the Ubers and places like that.
App that you're thinking about. It sounds incredibly familiar.
But it is one of those things that you know, you look at Uber, and they were taken to court because obviously they were paying everyone self-employed, and there was people that weren't, and those kind of Pimlico plumbers and all those kind of ones as well. And if you've got those kind of people, they're just saying this is the app that you need. It's scary that some clients are going to go, actually, this is the way I should be doing it. This is not the way you should be doing it. You should be engaging in the right way and making sure you're protected, because it's going to come back to the way it is with umbrellas.
This is
who's going to be responsible?
Part of our job, right? That's what we're supposed to be doing. These guys turn to us as professionals in the industry.
Let's
do some Q&A in a minute. Go on,
I was just going to say, I used an example of a law firm, and what I wanted to point out was I've had retainers with a climbing centre. I've had retainers with charities. I was sitting here thinking, it sounds like I'm just speaking about professional services, and that's the only place that will understand what a retainer is and where we can get the business. And actually, that's not the case. I do it with every client I have a conversation with, because it doesn't matter whether the fee is 15% or whether the fee is 25%, and I've had retainers at both. It's about going back to what you just said then. Is it a good client? Will it be a sound placement? Can I sell the opportunity? Honestly, can I sell it authentically to candidates to say it's a good move? Will the candidate want to work there? I'm not necessarily saying is it aspirational, because aspirations vary from person to person, but I think the types of businesses that we talk to, it's about the service that we're providing them. And if it's I'm trying to think what the person was. It was probably just a receptionist who did a bit more than that, a bit of health and safety, etc. for the climbing centre. But I thought, I don't have a talent pool for that, but I know the guy, funnily enough, met him at networking, get on with him. It's an owner-managed business. I wanted to help him, but I still need to be paid fairly for my time. So I think if you have that attitude, it doesn't matter what the sector is or what the business do, you should say, right, how can I make this work for me and for them? So it's a two-way thing, and it's a partnership, the recruitment process. Just want to add that.
And mine was kind of a question, but for you, Michelle, because what I was going to try and do is bring it back to the start of the conversation, was how people are achieving success. And you've said that networking is big for you, and that you're selling retainers.
Yeah.
But if we, sorry.
I do this all the time. They've given me questions, I haven't had a single one of them.
All I was going to ask is, like, what do you do on the front end in terms of how many events do you go to, or calls you make, or what are the inputs for you to achieve those two retainers? So for the people in the room that are recruiters, then go, okay, I understand, because you say you go networking. Is that 20 events a month? Is that 5 events a month?
Or do you even keep track?
Do you not? Because it'd be lovely to know what the process has been to get you to the point.
So when I tell you, you're going to think, when do you sit at your desk and actually do the job? Let me think what I do. So I'm a sponsor of a networking group in Milton Keynes that meets here at the YMCA first Wednesday of every month, and I come along to that and I listen to speakers and I network and I talk to people. I go to charity networking events quite a bit because I do a lot of work with charities. I run a networking group that I am the chair of the committee because I joined as a member. I met my business partner there. The group's given me so much in so many different ways, and joined the committee to make it a better group, a more commercial group. We're a not-for-profit and we raise money for the Women's Fund, and that's really important to me. We've raised about 30 grand, but we're networking and we're there for our business, but we're also there for friendship and support. For me, human connection is the most important thing. If I go to a networking group and it's a sea of suits and nobody wants to talk, I have to sharpen my elbows to get to the coffee, most people would turn around and walk out and not come back from that. I see it as my absolute mission to break through that room and break down the barriers and get more people, more colourful people in the room to make connections and not let it become a thing where accountants only talk to accountants and lawyers only talk to lawyers, or whatever it is. I just think, no, I'm not doing that. What else do? I do MKFM. I go to their networking group. I think they've got one coming up. There's 340 people booked onto that. They've stopped people coming in. And you have to work that room in such a way that you're not selling. You're not just talking to the people that you know who are your friends. It's great to see them, but I'm there to network. It's business. So I do quite a lot. That's probably half of what I do. But it works for me.
Doesn't that beat making 50 cold BD calls a day?
Yeah.
In the hope that you pick up somebody who's in a desperate situation and they're happy for you to recruit for them because
Absolutely.
you rang them at the right time.
I mean, I do BD calls, and I've
Yeah,
been
but your
doing it a while.
BD
so I
calls
can
are follow-up calls
They're-
to
well, they are.
meetings
There
and
are
stuff.
some
You're
cold
lead chasing.
calls.
Are you going on Indeed and going, oh, direct
No.
hires?
No.
Oh, I see you're hiring for a, you know,
I look at a
and I
business.
just completed
Yeah.
a project with a health and safety focused receptionist.
Maybe I should do
And
more
I've
of
got
that,
an
I don't know.
extension, like extensive, so you don't
Tonality
do
is
that.
No.
We just don't do it.
What I
for
do-
that reason, like,
I'll meet a CFO
right,
and I'll make a connection with him and I'll say to him, who should I be speaking to in your business?
right.
Who's got recruitment pain points? And then I'll call that person. I'll say, I spoke to your boss today. He seemed like a nice guy.
Yeah.
Maybe you think so, maybe you don't. But he said I should call you because you're the person who makes the decisions. So I utilise and leapfrog off those connections and I start at the top and then I work my way down. There's
Shit
no
falls
point
down.
starting, exactly.
Yeah.
And those are the people who are in the business doing the work. They're not at the networking event. They're the ones I'm not going to reach, but they're the ones recruiting. So you've got to be sensible about what you do. Sometimes I think, it's 5:30, I've got an event to go to, I'm not going to finish till 8:30. Can I really be asked to go to this? And then I just sit and really think about the event
And you
and
look at
think
your
about
bank
the
balance and
value.
you're like, absolutely.
It's
Mama
about the
needs a
cash
new
flow.
Rolex.
Yeah.
Right, let's do some Q&A stuff because these guys are rolling now. Let's pick their brains. Who wants to kick it off?
So, going back to the subscription model. Oh, sorry.
Give
Going
us
back-
more.
I know, yeah.
Question time.
I know, yeah. So, going back to the subscription model,
Yeah.
do you think that'd work in the temporary staffing offering?
I personally do think so, yes.
Yeah, how that would work.
Yeah, that's
Well, you've got a headcount limit on it.
Yeah.
The same model works. You've got a headcount limit on it. You factor in the actual costs to you as an employer, as an agency having to find, to payroll these people and all the rest of it. Maybe put on an advertising package within that through like candidate source or something.
Yeah.
So a constant influx of candidates coming through. And then you speak to your payroll partners and you go, listen, I need a deal from you guys because I was just signed up for a 12-month contract with.
But you
like,
have caps, right? You can like analyse the spend, look at the historical recruitment budget that you've spent with that client and say, okay, if we reach a certain point,
That's it. There's
then
a
we
big
have a
trigger.
sliding scale. It triggers
Yeah.
off another percentage.
because in like
Also, the subscription model, I was going to say, if you're thinking about a spend over the course of 12 months and that client defaults on any of those subscriptions, personally,
Yeah.
I would say then the rest of the fee is payable.
Yeah.
yeah,
Because I'm doing that work for you and you've decided, okay, I'm going to stop it there, or you haven't made the payment, sorry, but you've had that payment model which benefits you. It doesn't necessarily benefit the recruiter as much, although it is good to get the
yeah.
coming in, but I would make it work for me.
Because in like the care sectors, which is what I deal with, they'll have like a preferred supplier list, even the ones that aren't like on the neutral vendors. So they'll like go down the list to get the short notice cover. But obviously, if you've got a subscription there, and like say you're further down the list, you're going to sort of naturally be at the top of the list if you're on the subscription service. See what I mean? Yeah, because they've already paid for having this. So
PSLs have preferred suppliers on the PSL, don't they?
yeah, so
Will there be people who go, well, they're going to get the job before me, even though we're on the same PSL, because the relationship with them is stronger with the client than mine is.
Exactly.
So I need to do something where I make that happen.
exactly. Like, even if you lose a bit of money compared to doing it by the hour, if you do it on a subscription basis, it'll generate more. Yeah, exactly. The consistency. Yeah, yeah. That was my question. Thank you.
Any other questions? No?
Scared of the mics. Yeah, no, I'll jump in. So, please, so much. We're just getting going, right? So you're talking a lot about change and how you can kind of differentiate yourself. Lots of things around retainers and just making yourself stand out. At the same time as that, small businesses, recruiters are also kind of running their business and making it work. So how would you kind of advise going about making those changes? Because it's hard, right? Spinning plates and running businesses. What's the sort of first steps into making those changes? You know, having conversations with someone like you, Stewart, looking at where you can save in the business. And
Stuart's going to be like, absolutely.
that's an easy one for you, right? But yeah, what would you recommend to sort of put these wheels in motion?
I think you've got to, as you know, yes, there's someone like me, but there is a wealth of, especially even within team, you know, there is a number of the NEDs, business development companies out there that can actually, as a recruitment business, you know, someone like North Star People, I believe they give an hour, Jump Advisory, they give an hour. Just use that hour. Just don't go, oh, well, I might need it later on, so I don't want to use it up. Just use it now. It's a case of, I have so many people who go, I don't think I need my 2 hour with you yet, I'll need it later. And I'm like, why? You could save the money now, or you could have wait till later on, then you go, I wish I'd done this earlier. There was a lady I spoke to on Monday, and she was like, I feel so disappointed with my accountant for the last year, because you've given me more information in that 2 hour session than he has in the whole year. And she's like, can I go back and do all the things? And luckily she could, but if she submitted her accounts, she would have lost out on all those kind of allowances that she could have actually got. And it's the same with when you actually look at it from every person you go to the networking events, you're going to learn something from them. It's a case of find out how they're doing it, you know, tap them up. If someone else is doing a subscription model, how did you start it? And find out who those people are, because people don't mind talking about it. You know, we're in this room and there's loads of recruiters. Back in the day, it was like, oh no, we don't. I can't talk to another recruiter about it, or in the same sector. It's like the umbrella companies. You know, there's three umbrella companies in the room, and it's a case of all of those four umbrella companies. It's 4 umbrella companies in the room. But it is one of those things. Everyone here is kind of, you know, we're all not going, right, okay, well, I can't speak to them, even though they're doing the same thing. It's not that.
It used to be that way, it's not. But it's a really good question, because actually, we all have this in our personal lives as well, where you're like, oh, I know I need to change things, I need to eat cleaner, get down the gym, blah, blah, I've got all this shit I need to do, sort my personal finances out. But it's that Japanese philosophy of Kaizen, where it's like small, manageable changes each time, right? So you know, right, in an ideal world, by this time next year, 2026, I want to be sat there and I want to be like, guess what, Michelle? I will only work retained now too, right? And that's not going to happen 1st of January. You're not going to be like, right, I'm retained only from now on, right? It's just not going to happen. Right, I've got 150 Google reviews now, I'm good, I'm ready to go. It's little things at a time where you're like, right, I need to dedicate a morning to business improvement, process improvement. Alignment, marketing, training, investment in
self-training. But also, there's so much expertise. You look at Team Hub and all the webinars that are on. If you can't make them, they're all recorded and you can go back and watch them. I've done retainer training despite selling retainers, because I think, what if I'm not doing something right? What if there's a better way to do it? What if I can tweak my offering? I'm very glad to say that quite often I listen and I go, well, I do that, and I agree with that, and I wouldn't do it that way. But you want to do what works for you.
Because you always will learn something new, right? You turn up to an event and they'll go, once you've got £100 deposit, you're like, I can do that.
It's an education centre, isn't it? And if you don't keep educating yourself, then you're either going to get left behind, or you're going to miss a trick on something that... my trick missed is doing contingency for as long as I did. And the second I realised that light bulb moment, then I thought, how do I position it? How do I refine it? Now I believe in it. But if you don't take advantage of the 3 hours.
Yeah, it is the same as well with people who go, I'm a permanently recruiter, and then they go, well, what about contracting? Well, no, I can't do contracting.
I've never done it.
Yeah, but, you know, I always look at it, you know, someone I spoke to yesterday, team member, and they were like, I want to sell a business in 3 years, but they are perm only, there's them and their sister in the business, and I'm like, you're not going to really be able to sell this business because you own all the client relationships and you're doing contingent, so it's a case of you're only as good as the last perm business you did. And I said to them, what about contractors? Oh yeah, we've got about 4 at the moment. And so I'm like, okay, so you are doing some contracting? Yeah, but we don't actively do it. I'm like, but that's going to be where you've got to sell the business.
For it.
That's it.
Infrastructure for it. Yeah.
And I was that person is the business. Really, what they need to do is go and work for another business to take their expertise.
Yeah.
Because they're not going to sell.
Or they may take on someone to actually take over those client relationships and things like that. But it was actually do contract recruitment.
Yeah,
someone who comes in, even if they leave the business, the contractors will continue after that. The person who buys it is going to have some regular income coming in, whether you're there or not, because they're contracted to that business. Contractors is the way that you should be looking. If you're going to be selling your business, put an element, not of temp, look at contractors, work smarter, not harder. Do your day rate people, not your hourly rate people. That's where you're going to make your money. They're going to be on longer term contracts. You get a 9-month contract, you get lots of your contracts in 9 months. Someone buys you when you've just signed them all up and all those contracts are starting. That person who's buying your business is going to have profit coming for the next 9 months. That repays back some of the money that they're actually going to be giving you, and it makes you more attractive. I know agencies, the smaller agencies, that get sold and it's just to buy the contractor book.
Yeah.
It's not to buy the perm book. They're not buying that stuff. They want to buy
They don't care about your database. They don't care about any of that.
I can back that up. So I left CBS Butler in 2014, and there are still 2 contractors out working at a particular defence contractor now that I placed, and I had 2 years of margin off them, £6 an hour off both of them, but are still there to this day on long-term contracts. It's just, imagine how much money they've made over the last 13 years, 15 years.
But the multiple of the agency will go up as well. You sell an agency that is only doing perm, you're going to get between 1 and 2 times multiple of your bottom line. It's a case of if you do contracting, you're going to be looking at between 3 and 5. So that's quite a big difference. And all it is you've just got people that are just going to be working. And if you get those long-term contracts, if you can secure a 6-month contract, you put them on, you don't have to do it anymore. You have to maybe still see the clients, try and win more business. You want to be there for a renewal and things like that. But actually, if you have a contractor within that client, you've got an in. You've got the opportunity to bring the candidate. You can't do that once you place the perm person. You can't bring the candidate up on a regular basis because your client's going to go, hang on me, tap them up for the next job. But the contractor,
the same mentality applies that if you are a contingent only, perm only business, the subscription model is exactly that. It's retained income for a contracted period of time. When I'm an investor or a mergers and acquisitions person, I'm looking at that going, hang on, so explain this to me again. You've got 10 of your clients who pay you a regular amount of money, regardless of whether you do recruit them for or not. No, right, where the fuck do I sign? I'm going to buy your business. You know, that's an easier model. But for some, moving from perm only to contract is a mind shift change, and you have to operate your business in a different way. But that's where the subscription model can really boost your exit opportunities within your business, because that's something people can buy. Can I jump in? Go on, yeah.
So to come back to your question, Rich. No. Rich's question. What would you start doing, right? And I think me as a small business owner, what's changed me, our business massively, is looking at doing activities that gain you leverage. I think typically recruiters hand to mouth, innit? Give me a job, fill the job, give me a job, fill the job, and that's just a like hamster wheel of over and over and over and over and over. And our business, we were like, well, what can we do as a small team of 3 that gives us leverage? Well, we could write blogs, we can have a YouTube channel, we can start podcasts, we can do all these things that, while I'm sitting here, are still ticking away, like the reviews being one of them. So if I was a recruiter running a small business, I'd be like, what activities can I do? And there's loads of them. It doesn't have to be social. There's loads of things you can do that will give you leverage, that will work for you when you're not there. And that will then give you also confidence, I think, to start selling these retainers. Because like you say, okay, now we have 200 reviews, now we have these blogs that we've written, or this content that we've got that showcase we've got knowledge, we've got skills, we've got expertise. That then allows you to sell, I think, with more confidence. So that's the thing I've been doing as a small business owner, I think, looking at like, how can I gain leverage on my business, because there's only one of you, right?
No,
and that will build the confidence.
No question there.
Can I build on that? I work with a recruiter who works on the subscription model with a small engineering firm up in Bolton. And the first thing he did when he signed them up for the subscription was to invite me to train the exec team on how to interview. Because what was happening, they were sending candidates in there and they weren't being, or the interviews, let's say, were mixed. So depending on who did the interview from the exec team, you either were interviewed well and you wanted to join that firm, or you had a terrible interview. The MD was really not very capable at interviewing. So those are the added values things that you can get in if you've got a subscription or a retained model, because you've got a bit of slack in the game. So these are the sorts of things that I think can really add value to your relationship. The one more thing, of course, is that I work with candidates who have had the same job from 5 different recruiters. I mean, that makes no sense. It devalues the job. They're the best candidate probably, but they're getting it from everywhere. that stops that as well.
And also about monetising your products. I think Andy said it earlier, the things that you give away for free. We do interview training, we do recruitment training for our clients. We offer support for people who are coming back out into the marketplace, so proper careers advice, someone who's never had a LinkedIn profile, someone who just doesn't even know where to start with their job search. And we try and offer that as different services so that it's affordable, but we're hopefully investing into the marketplace so that those individuals have a better chance of getting work, hopefully through us, but if not, somewhere else or directly, in order for them to then think, okay, well, they submitted me through that process, then we want to work with them again, because we know they'll support candidates in the marketplace, they'll support clients in the marketplace. My business partner's doing some training next week where she's got an entire SLT in one business, and she's teaching them how to interview, because we don't want the process to fall down, because of exactly what you said, the inability of someone who either is not in the marketplace, hasn't been in the marketplace themselves for a while, asks the same old questions like, where do you see yourself in 5 years? Which is just such an outdated question. Or they try and be really zany, if you were an animal, what animal would you be? I mean, really, how does that help? I'm going to be a finance director, is that going to help? So it's about what the content is, what the questions are. And I think those extra supporting things that you offer as a solo professionally, you can monetize those in times where there's not as much job flow or it's a bit more difficult. And again, realising value.
I coached a candidate who was being interviewed by the FD. She spoke for 45 minutes before she even asked him a question. Pointless.
It's a good differentiator as well, because if you have your situation there where you're kind of on site and visually in front of people, and then you've got another agency that's just like filling the CV and hoping to pick up a job, I think there'll be more loyalty towards you. Because it's like, you see Michelle, she's done this, she's done that, she's done a lot for us. Yes, we just had a good CV coming, but we really like her. So I think, you want to be that recruiter that's front and centre.
You're mentoring candidates, aren't you? There's no reason you can't just shift that to the clients as well. Because if a process keeps falling down, why? That's so you go back to that and you go, if you ask right at the beginning of the process, how much experience have you got with interviewing candidates? When was the last time you recruited? How did that go for you? Why is recruitment a pain for you? Why are you trying to get my fees down? It's because we've had a problem in the past. So let's talk about the problems now before we start the process. And let's say, how experienced are you interviewing? Not very much. We'll support you on that. If you're doing the subscription model or the retainer model, that could be part of it. If you're not and you work in contingency, you can offer that as an add-on.
Can I add to that? I would also use team suppliers as my support system on my offering. So if I was to start a recruitment business tomorrow, my offering would include people that are in the team network that can support the clients. So it'd include like JMW, for instance, on legal updates. I'd include Joe Major, like for her diversity and inclusion training, like that kind of stuff. Most recruiters are not offering to their customers. They're not doing it. And I think it really does set you apart, gets you stickier with the clients. It gets more opportunity for retained work by having disc profiling, yeah.
They're making the right choice. But we've got suppliers who offer that within team. For me, I think when I go to meet a client, team is a big sell for me. And I explain, if you look at my LinkedIn profile, you see I'm a regional director for team. Been a member for this long. This is how I work with team members. I quite often work with other recruiters and we split fees. And when a client hears you saying to them, well, what they will hear hopefully is that you really care about doing your work, doing it well. You're not at the detriment of other recruiters. You're working together to make sure you get the right candidates in front of them. If I can't find them, why wouldn't I ask someone else within my network? And I think it impresses clients. I think they like the attitude, they like your approach, and it's a big upsell, I think. It's definitely worked for me with lots and lots of different level roles. So I talk about team every client meeting I'm in.
Yeah. I think the last thing as well to mention, am I supposed to use this mic? I don't know, it doesn't feel real. It feels like a toy one. But for me, and you've probably all seen this on my socials, I appreciate I'm not running a recruitment agency anymore, but user-generated content, I think, is going to get much, much bigger next year. So I'm trying to get testimonials from members, from suppliers, from regional directors, from guests at every event I go to. Even this morning, 5 o'clock this morning, I'd edited a video last night, put it out live before I set off to come here, of one of our members that was telling me, I had no idea about it. He'd worked with he's done 6 placements in team since he joined with 3 different members. And one of them was an engineering manager who then came back and gave 2 more vacancies, repeat business. Like, that's the stuff that I want to be pushing out for team to, you know, for people to see the real members, the real suppliers. You know, it's that it was a new concept for me, UGC, user generated content, same as the testimonials and the reviews. That's the real stuff. And I think if I was still running a recruitment business, that's what I would be doing as well. I'd be getting my candidates and my clients and my peers in the industry to create that kind of content for me to use.
We're advising candidates all the time, get some testimonials on your LinkedIn. And Michelle said earlier, I'm not very good at asking for it. And actually, I'm saying, I'm very good at telling, but I'm not so good at...
Why don't you set yourself a reminder every day, right, at like 10 to 5 to send one recommendation request to someone that you've placed?
It's really easy to do that.
Yeah, that...
Send it back. If you don't like it or you want them to add something, I go, that's brilliant, thanks so much. Could I ask you, could you just include a little line focusing on this? People don't mind doing that. It goes back, they send it, and then you post it. Once you've published that there, what I then do is copy and paste those testimonials that are really relevant to the next conversation I'm having and include them in the email. And so just so you know, this is what somebody who I did something similar, a similar project, said. It's on my LinkedIn profile if you want to go and have a look at what else I do, but here's just a short excerpt for you to understand. And if you want an introduction to that person, they're willing to give me a testimonial, they'll be happy to talk to you. Yeah. It's just that little bit of BD and...
I think the last thing, you could download all of your LinkedIn connection requests, right? It takes 24 hours to get a zip file. Print that list out and highlight everyone that you've had on interview or everyone that you've placed over the years. And there will be hundreds and hundreds of them. And just every day, just work your way through the list. Do you remember me? I placed you here, or I got you an interview here. Would you write me a quick testimonial? I'm trying to build up my profile. You'd be amazed how many you get. You know, 220 working days in every year. Imagine you got 220 recommendations, or like, it's such a simple thing.
The thing is, ChatGPT will write 80% of them.
That's fine.
Yeah, no, you're right. We have to acknowledge that people who don't ask for referrals, it's not always because they forget to. It's usually because it's like, I feel a bit beggy, I don't want to do that. No, it feels a bit fucking...
Do you want your business to succeed or not?
Exactly. No, what's more painful?
Like asking for the review or your business.
You're right, absolutely right. Yeah. But if we're humans, and the psychology of our behaviour is usually like kind of built in through kind of experiences throughout kind of our life, right? So you can't just go to somebody who's got a problem with overeating. Stop eating, just go to the gym. It doesn't work. They don't get through to people. So when you've got somebody who's like, I don't like asking for reviews, I feel it's beggy, it's a bit shitty, I don't like it. It's not as easy as just going, we just got to do it. You just got to do it. Because that's like saying, oh, why haven't you sold a retainer? Just do it, just ask. You have to retrain your mind. You've really got to think about kind of what is it that is stopping you from asking for these referrals. And if it is the fact that it feels a bit beggy, position it in a different way.
You're talking about referrals or recommendations?
Both.
Or
Both.
testimonials, because I think...
I'm talking about behaviours that we do as humans that we know we should do, but we choose not to.
Yeah.
Because it's a choice, but we have to accept. Certainly when you sit at this side of the mic and giving advice and stuff like that, you have to accept that it isn't often as easy as just going, you've just got to start doing it. Because that little step, that seems like a little step for us, is sometimes a fucking leap.
Actually, I think the first step is the second someone says something positive to you. You've got to turn it into an earworm. So if someone says, thanks so much, it was a real pleasure dealing with you. Hang on, what did you say? You said something really nice. Can I ask you a favour? That's what we've got to train to say.
I can do that.
Would you mind? Really?
I can do that.
So I don't know, I just think if they are willing to say it to you, I sometimes say, do you know what, I hate to ask, and I'm always advising my candidates to ask, but would you mind putting that in a testimonial for me? It does feel a bit nerve-wracking, but the first time you ask is the hardest, second time's a bit easier.
Why couldn't you
It
do
was,
that?
sorry.
Sorry, just for people that do find it difficult, I used to have it at the bottom of my signature saying, if I've given you a great service, please would you take the time? And you just link it straight through onto your LinkedIn recommendations or Google reviews, Trustpilot. So gets you used to it, and you'll be surprised at how many people actually do it.
I'll do that.
Yeah.
Absolutely, I'll do
But that then gets you used because you can see them coming through,
And you feel less
and then you can go,
enthusiastic and
oh,
less
these people
enthusiastic. I
have,
get it.
yeah, these people have done it. Now actually I should be asking people. So it sort of changes your mindset a little bit.
Genuinely, I think that's like.
But you're saying you don't like asking for it, some people don't like giving them. So some people say, yeah, would you write it? Michelle's amazing. I've never used anyone else. What's that for you? No, it's not genuine. And so I go back and say, look, it just won't sound as sincere if it comes from me. But you know how you feel. If you want to write it, and I'll edit it,
That's the thing. You're saying, oh, it wouldn't sound sincere.
Everyone. You're thinking that every testimonial is written by ChatGPT. I can tell you it's not because of the spelling errors and what people put. I know what you're meant to say, but not everyone
Would you write
uses
reviews?
it.
I would struggle. I think as a business, we do, and we like, with contractors, like every single contractor that is on a bus, I think it's a natural, because they're contractors, that's naturally happening every day. But I think I've probably asked 2 or 3.
Yeah.
No.
Why
I've
can't
asked
you
2 or 3, the
automate
ones
or
that I have on my
ask them?
LinkedIn, I literally am like, oh, they're
But would you
that's-
put it into your signature?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would do that.
If you, because I love, genuinely, I love that.
I think majority of the time for me, it's that I don't remember. It doesn't come into my mind.
Automate. Do you sometimes find that you go and do it when another potential client asked for it?
That's when it would
And
be.
that's going, you go,
Yeah.
oh, I've got to get it
Can
now.
you do this?
Do
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Rather than just doing it as natural course.
Yeah.
I was going to say with testimonials and things, obviously it comes from relationships that you've built up over years and things like that, but I like it when I can get to a point and go, look, I need a testimonial for, you know, like we're going on to a pitching on a big PSL, I need a few client testimonials from there. Do you want me to write it, or do you want me to got a quick 10 minutes and we'll do it now? I can write it for you and you can sign it off, which I don't want them to do, and they're not going to do. But it puts the emphasis on, you know, sort of like giving them 2 options. One of them they're really not going to do. The other one is like, yeah, I tell you what, give us 10 minutes and I'll pick it up to you.
But what you're doing is you're equipping them with the rationale for why you're asking. Like,
Yeah.
the reason, so it's not like me, the reason I wouldn't ask is, and I think it's a bit begging, is because it's like, I'm kind of asking you to stroke my ego, and it just
Yeah.
is a bit
If
shit.
you tell them,
Like,
if
you know what I
you've
mean?
got a reason.
But if
for
you
it,
frame it with,
yeah.
I'm
You
just
won't
trying
feel
to
as bad.
do this, I'm trying to do that, you know.
I always kind of do it as a bit of a tongue-in-cheek kind of question, you know,
Yeah.
it's light-hearted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it makes sense.
Yeah. Which basically, I mean, sorry Sarah.
That's all right, you don't I've got a microphone.
Sarah, over to you, but last question, because we are running out of time. So.
Oh, no, it's not a question. I was just going to say, because I get a lot of reviews on Google and I don't like to ask for it, but I send an email at the end of like the day. I go through all the people that I've registered and I send them an email and I say, you know, I make it personal. I address it to them and I say, lovely to talk to you regarding the placement that you had with which agency. So it feels like I'm doing it. It's not just a bog standard email, but it is a template. And then if they want to do it, they do it. And you expect it, because I could buy toilet roll from Waitrose and I'll get an email to say, how was our service today? And you can, exactly, but you can like, on a good day, but you can like, I was just trying to impress you all. But it's just, I think you expect it, so, and you have the choice, so there's no awkwardness. If they want to do it, they can, and if they don't, it's up to them. And, you know, I'm very friendly and personal in my phone calls. I like to be chatty. And if you look at the reviews on the page, the majority of them are for me, and they do like really put personal stuff in there. And I can tell it's not ChatGPT, because some of the stuff they say is like, I would have filtered that. Like, that's not, like, do you know what I mean? Like, that's a bit too much information, which you would know.
Sarah, the waitress. No, you're right. But do you know when you then compare that to the, you know, when you buy something on Amazon, wow, why did you think of the weird shit you bought off Amazon, right? That's where my mind goes, where I'm like, immediately like, oh, I'm not begging me for reviews. So that's my own personal hang-up, and I know all the reasons why I should do it, but I still don't do it, because my personal hang-up on it is, that feels a bit vague, right? It's the same psychology. It's understanding the fact that, like, people have different ways of doing things. Like, I have a diary link you can book into, like, and when someone's like, oh, have you got availability next week? I feel a right bougie idiot going, yeah, you can access my diary from there. But that's not big, no, but I didn't up until a point where I was sat with my pal and we're having a few beers and he goes, oh, your mate, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. Did you ever book in with him? He's like, no, he sent me a diary link. And I was like, right. He's like, I just think that's a shit move. Anyone who sends me a diary link, I just think, no, fuck you, I'm not doing that. And I didn't realise that there's people out there that are like, no, I'm not booking into your diary, you want to talk to me. But we kind of, the point I'm making is that we've got to accept that people are people and they have their own ways and own nuances and weird shit that they like to do. So yes, you might feel comfortable going, I'm going to ask people for reviews. But of the 100 people you ask and 50 leave you a review, the other 50 might be like, this beggy idiot asking for a review. Well, I might not use her again. And that's the sort of the doubt bit that creeps into my mind of like, yeah, just don't do it.
I think a lot of people don't want to do it because they feel like, from a customer service perspective, like, you're going to think that I'm being nice to you because I want you to say something nice back. Yeah. So there is that awkwardness as well, you know, sort of thing. But like I say,
but the point is, I suppose, it's a lot more nuanced than just going, just do it, just ask for it, that kind of thing. Should we wrap this up?
These two head office news.
Oh, okay, yeah. Fine. Cool. I need to do the. I need to focus and do the wrap up. No, don't do that. It's just because of right, guys, that's all from us at the regional team conference. I just clapped. I want to thank the panel, thank the guys from the team, and thank you guys for watching, liking, sharing, subscribing, doing all the cool shit that you guys do that allow me to do this cool shit as a job and have one of these. We'll see you again next time. New episodes drop every Wednesday, every Friday. See ya. Subscribe. It's Becky is asking for testimony.
And that's the end of another episode of RecTalk. I hope you enjoyed that one thoroughly as much as I did recording it. And I'll leave you with my 4 recommendations that I gave you at the start of this video and in the middle. Get in touch with these guys. They know what they're doing. First recommendation I've got for you is to take your commission more seriously. And the only way to really do that effectively is to deal with Carl at Conquest. Carl and the team really have their finger on the pulse with everything to do with commissions for your business. How much your guys are going to earn, how much they're currently tracking to earn, what your competitors are paying, what competitive landscape is out there, what your commission structure should look like. If you want to take commission seriously, and doing so will attract the right talent to your business and increase performance, get in touch with Carl at Conquest. Another recommendation I've got for you is Ben Fielding at Quinset. Now, we know in 2025 and onwards, email deliverability is more important than it's ever been before. With so much spam and junk mail and the amount of outreach messages that just don't land where they're meant to, sometimes your agency messages can get lost in the shuffle. You don't want to be in the junk mail. You don't want to be outside of the focused inbox. You don't want to be sending interview invites and having to ask your prospects and your candidates to check their junk. So if you want to sort that problem out and you want to continue to grow and scale your recruitment business, get in touch with Ben Fielding at Quinset. My next recommendation to you is Ross Thompson and the team at Infinity Staff Global. Infinity Staff Global are an employer of record who specialise in finding you staff based out in South Africa, but that work for you. Outsourcing and offshoring is the secret to growing and scaling a recruitment business in 2025 and onwards. And I highly recommend that you consider South African staff for your recruitment business, be it in a sales capacity, i.e. 180 or 360 degree recruiters, be it marketing, be it administrative functions, back office support, anything that you might need for your recruitment agency. Get in touch with Ross and the team on the details in the description. The final recommendation I've got for you is Matt Fox at Exodus Advisory. Exodus Advisory was born out of Matt's journey selling his recruitment business. Along the way, the journey was incredibly difficult. There was a lot of forwards and backwards. There was things that he wished he knew back then that would have changed some of the things that he did with his business. So Matt set up Exodus to help recruitment businesses be exit ready. This is not an overnight thing, and the last thing you want to be doing is having to exit your business, not because you want to, but because you have to. So if you're looking to plan an exit in 3 to 5 years' time, Matt Fox is the guy you need to be speaking to.